coming down here from Louisville without earning a little tax. We have to do a signature item from our community that can also be found in the Lincoln Museum. We may get more play out of it than he does. It'll look better if you don't see me. At this time, Iris and Ruth come forward and talk about Mary Brooks' art and contribution to it.
Mary Brooks Howard, Brooksy, or Brooks, whatever name you may have known her, knew many of you very well in this room, and some not at all. But the word legacy is a word that plays into her character very nicely today, and in light of our speech today, I think we'll think of that word a lot. Mary Brooks spent nearly the last 30 years in state government, working through several different administrations. As assistant director for the Kentucky State Parks, she was an incredible force for the preservation, restoration, and interpretation of many of Kentucky's treasures. She helped to set the benchmarks by which many other states and their parks are now measured. Her enthusiasm for her work inspired others to be equally passionate and determined in bringing a myriad of projects to fulfillment over the last 20 years. Her contributions to preservation are honored with many awards, including the 2007 Kentucky Historical Society's Individual Award of Distinction. This is the highest honor that can be given to a volunteer in our state. Brooksy and her late husband, Fred Howard, operated Lincoln's Boycott Home for over 30 years, during which time she worked diligently to promote LaRue County's historical assets, bringing in national media for many of the events, including ABC Sports, to cover our rail-splitting tournaments. She was both relieved and thrilled in 2001 when LaRue County's leadership was able to place in the hands of the National Park System the Knob Creek site, which she so dearly loved. Brooksy was a pioneer in rural and heritage tourism before those terms were even coined. As you've read and heard about for the last few years, she was doing it before it was even popular. She was the first woman to serve as the Governor's Advisory Commission on Tourism president and a director of the Kentucky Tourism Council. She and a fellow by the name of Dan Manchin, who was for years the head of the Kentucky Derby Festival, worked together to form the Kentucky Festivals Association. This is a network that still exists to help provide standards, communication, and networking for many of the events across Kentucky. She was the first woman to serve as president of the LaRue County Chamber of Commerce and the Lincoln Heritage Trail. And she was active in many other organizations, including the Audubon Society. We're here today because Brooks and Richard Burke shared a vision. They co-founded Lincoln Day Celebration Incorporated as a way to preserve and promote the history and the heritage that is unique to our community. Nowhere else, no matter what you hear, right, Tommy, was Lincoln born, right? Richard served as the first president of Lincoln Days. Brooks served as the second, and each of them would repeat those terms a couple of times, just like many of us have done over the years. But they developed a board of directors and the volunteers who took their ideas and enlarged upon them, creating such events as the Tri-State Wrestling Tournament, Lincoln Lookalikes, costume and art contests, and this luncheon, which remains a factor in our activities that we still sponsor. For those of you who don't remember, all of this at that time took place in February. And there were many days when it didn't look like this outside. I can still see Richard Burks in his old Jeep slogging through the ice and snow and going out in the county to pick up the volunteers and the food to take to the women's club where the water was frozen to have this luncheon. And the luncheon did go on, let me tell you. It still goes on. And I know many of you probably have similar memories and things like that. Every year your Lincoln Days board worries about the weather and will it cancel the event. This week was no different from any other, was it, Carol? Sweating the sale of tickets. But everything seems to always work out. But like many others in the community who nearly froze to death dealing with all of this in February, Richard and Brooksy both supported the idea of moving activities to October as long as we maintain an observance on February 12th. And here we are. When Brooks was last here, late in the summer, her body was very frail, but her mind was going a mile a minute, as you who knew her well can imagine. We talked a lot about the effects of the Lincoln Bicentennial, the Heritage Trail, the Kentucky Lincoln sites. She wanted to know what was new for Lincoln Days this year and what we could do next. She was always thinking about what we could do to promote our community. Richard Burks passed away on February 8, 1979, just a few days before this luncheon. Mary Brooks passed away on October 13, 2010, just after the 38th annual celebration. That helps me remember their generosity over the years too. And I think they'd both be proud and humbled that they're still here doing exactly the work that they had